If you had the opportunity to live in a children's wonderland, would you choose anywhere else? We don't just say, we do. It's the Stain City way.
Good afternoon and welcome to Real Talk on this last day of June. So as a child growing up in Soweto, she was often referred to as the dancing queen by her loved ones. The title was fitting given she was always entertaining friends and families with performances and had a convincing stage presence to boot. It came as no surprise that the performance arts became her career of choice and she soon made her way through the theatre, movies and television. The role she remains most heralded for is undoubtedly, it has to be the one of the original cast of the popular SABC 3 soapie Isidingo. 3 months into the show, she walked in for an audition, earned herself a role that went on to last 16 years. She is the unforgettable Agness Matabane. You have to help me in welcoming actress Keketso Semoko.
Thank you.
You know, I think you've forgotten, because this happens all the time, but I once chased you down in a shopping center in Sandton City, and I was like, my sisters and I, and we ran and we're just like, we adored you, and still do. So thank you so much for coming today.
My pleasure.
And it was your birthday 3 weeks ago.
Yes, it was.
How did you celebrate? Do you celebrate? Because I'm big on birthdays.
Well, I celebrate bigger milestones, like I celebrated my 40th,
okay.
You know, my 50th.
So 53 is like...
Well, it's nice to have a lovely cake, you know, and just indulge with family and close friends. It was okay.
So when they sing happy birthday, do they mention all your names? Do they say happy birthday, Keketso, Marilyn, Grace, Charity?
Well, they know that my dad named me, you know, Keketso, and the others came simply because my maternal grandmother was Grace, and my mom wanted to add Charity, so it became Grace Charity. And my dad, I guess my dad was fascinated when I was born with the Marilyn Monroes and whatever, and just decided that, you know what, just add Marilyn.
So your ID...
Oh, there are so many of them. You know, half the time if they put the column of name...
You run out of space.
Nah, I just write Keketso because, you know...
That's the one.
That's the one.
Have you, actually, now that I think about it, have you ever written Agness somewhere? When you are not acting, you forget that, you know...
You know what, most of the time I don't forget. I always, because when you become a character, you sort of wear the persona. So when you're sitting on that makeup chair and you get dressed in that way and whatnot, suddenly you become that, even the way you speak, you know, then you always have to adjust to that person. But once you get out of it, literally, you know, you are out of character, and then you are always reminded when people like Anele chase after you and they come and they say, hello, my Agness.
So in the 16 years you played my Agness, you've never dreamed as her?
I always thought a lot about her. Not necessarily dream, but thought a lot about her because I knew that a portion of her represents somebody out there.
Very true.
And so I was always guarding her. You know, sometimes I would be reading scripts, I'd say, my Agness wouldn't say that. And I'll go to the writing department and say, around here, this character wouldn't do this, you know, because I'm just trying to protect her. And sometimes I say, enough of protection, let it be, you know. And then there are certain things that I just refuse. I say, she would never. Even dressing up, she would never dress like this, and because I was so protective of her. So
your parents knew from word go that you're going to be an actress, and they would tell you that?
It's strange because when I was growing up, you know, like every other child, you have lots and lots of dreams. But the truth is that I wanted to be, firstly, I wanted to be a vet. But in those old days, simply because we always had animals at home.
Okay.
And so my dad said, no, you are female and you're an African. You won't make it as a vet. In the apartheid days, because there were no...
Yeah, there was no room for black women doctors.
No, you know. So it was that. Okay, and then I thought, okay, I'm going to be a clinical psychologist. And then at the time, there used to be a very beautiful hotel in Johannesburg called the Carlton Hotel. And every time we went there across the road, there used to be the Colosseum. And we always went there for concerts and all of that when we were kids with parents. And I always dreamed that, okay, after work, just to, you know, distress, I'll go to the Carlton Hotel and I'll play the piano. So I also wanted to be a piano player.
Okay.
Never got round to it.
Let's see your fingers, because they always say you must see fingers. Yeah, I also like the piano, but I've got short, stumpy fingers. They were like, Anele, no. And I'm like, but Elton John, have you seen his fingers?
Exactly.
They look like carrots. If he can do it, we're there.
Yeah, so I always went, but I was always a performer. I always loved I was just a free-spirited child. And my mom always said that, you know, I was troublesome. Every time I heard music, I just wanted to dance.
Okay.
You know, and I just didn't care who was around. It was my moment, you know. So we grew up in a very free-spirited home, allowed to be who we wanted to be.
So there wasn't much convincing of your mother when you wanted to study drama?
No. You know, my parents always said you can be anything as long as you are good at it. Do your best. You know, that's what's important. Be the best in whatever, you know. So I didn't. And funny enough, because I always entertained, even at boarding school, I heard you talking about me called the dancing queen, because I always loved that, and I loved dancing and I loved singing. You know, I always wanted people to be happy. You know, and then I moved on and did all sorts of things, and I started off in the film industry as being behind the camera.
I know, which is, most people start as actors and actresses and then go behind the camera. You started as a camera woman.
Yes.
Wow.
And then after some time, it was very difficult times, you know, the past history. So there weren't many jobs for being an African, you know, being a woman, you know. So you did things here and there and whatnot, and all you could do was being chased down the road by a kwela because, you know, you are at David Webster's funeral and there you are with a camera, you know, those kind of things. And then came a time where you realize that it's gone dry. So, you know.
So were you doing the camera work to pass time, or was that what you liked doing?
That's what I did. That's what I studied for right at the beginning, you know. And then I had to pull myself out. And then I got into other things, like at the time when AIDS was becoming a known pandemic, and got into workshops and teaching and performing, the early days of what's called now the industrial theater, you know, and got out to teach in performance, you know, out there. And I realized that studying with some institution part-time wasn't working out. I was doing communications and I was failing one and passing one, and I decided that this is it. I have to go and be full-time. You know, at varsity. That's when then I moved on to go to Wits to study drama full time. So that's how I started, right from, you know, behind, and then moved in front.
Listen, this sounds like a life well lived, and she's not even done. So we like it when you get involved. So here's the deal. You can send us your voice note if you'd like to share a message, you want to pose a question, you just want to ululate maybe, asazi, you know, we don't know. It's your voice note, 20-second voice note. Our WhatsApp number's on the screen right now. We'll be back after the break. And welcome back to Real Talk on SABC3. The stage is yours. Oftentimes, people explore various career paths with the hopes of finding the one that satisfies them the most. But for Keketso Semoko, she knew her future lay in arts, which is why she wasted no time. She got herself an honors degree in dramatic arts as well as a diploma in cinematography at Wits University. She is our guest today, and we're getting to know her. 9 kids.
Yeah.
Well, 9 siblings.
I was the last one. Oh. So, you know, I was always the spoiled one. I had all the privileges, all the attention. So it was okay.
Look at you, like
if I didn't want to do the dishes, somebody else would do the dishes.
And then you would sit there and then you'd eat off your mother's plate, nah. And then your dad would give you the meat.
And funny enough, because I always ate with my mom and dad, because I didn't like food and I would just swallow without chewing. So I was always punished and made to sit with them.
So they must watch you eat?
Yes, because, you know, also they ate, you know, in a proper way, on a table.
Oh, the table,
you know.
and like with a tray and you must
no, tablecloth, darling.
Oh, so your mom was a madam then? Like, did she have a bell? Did she have a bell at the table, like, ding, ding, ding?
Well, if she wanted to call you, she would just, you know, say, Nansika. Yeah.
Oh, wow. So then, you see, it's nice to be the last born, but when it comes to clothes, you just get passed downs and passed downs. Did that not happen to you?
No, because, you know, I come after boys. You see, I've got there are five brothers before me, you see. So, you know, I had to be there, and the other brother is way up there. So, no. There was no hand-me-downs. But I had a lot of clothes that were on that machine, you know. And, you know, when I was growing up, I thought, as an adult, I'll never wear sishweshwe ever again. I had a shirt, I had a skirt, I had dresses, I had pants,
everything.
Some in blue, you know, in brown, in red, all the colors. And I thought, the next thing my mom is going to sew me underwears in sishweshwe. You know, though she was a nurse, but she found time, you know. And it was that. She was very creative, so she could make clothes and whatnot. But yeah.
So, I mean, my brother's younger than me. He's 11. So I never experienced an older brother. But when I look at it with my friends and my cousins, and you know, older brothers are very protective.
Extremely.
So did you live in that world where people are like, Keketso's brothers were
even my father was very intimidating.
Okay.
So, you know, even in the neighborhood, they knew him. So, you know, it was very difficult. I'll tell a little story. The other day, not so long, I had a puncture and pulled over, phoned road assistance. As I was waiting there, traffic officer comes and he says, "You've got a spare wheel, everything?" I said, "Yes." So he pulls over to check and he keeps looking at me and he keeps looking at me. So he's with the lady officer. And then he says to the lady officer, not to me, he says, "This one, you couldn't even umshele because they were just protecting her, you know." And I thought, he says, "No, I know you. You're from Orlando." And then so he knew
but
he knew my brothers, and then he started to tell my story, you know.
That's
and I realized
amazing.
that, yeah, I was so protected, you know, which was good in a way, because you know, nobody could play games. You know, they knew that you don't mess up with that one. But then you missed on certain things. You grow up lying, you know, that you have a boyfriend to your friends when you don't have, you know, because then there's no room for it. You know, so, and it's like when everybody at school is talking about, you know, what they did with their guys over the weekend. You just create. I had my own. Richard was his name.
Okay.
Yeah,
and
he lived.
How long were you and Richard together?
Oh, we were together with Richard, I think, for 4 years, you know. And I always listen to bits and pieces, and then I'll make up my own Richard.
You've been a scriptwriter for a very long time. This was training for who you are today. So because you don't want to wear shweshwe and you have protective brothers, is this why then you never got married? Because you know shweshwe, it's makoti uniform.
I know. But you know, because I'm a Musutu girl, And in Sesotho, my mom is Xhosa, my dad, I'm Mosotho. So they always say that the wisdom of the family either lies with the older one or the last one. Oh, and I think in my case, it lies with me, being the last one. And somehow they always say that you'll always be protected in that manner, that you will be there to be the household person.
Oh, yes.
You know.
You keep it going.
You keep it going. And it was just not my blessing. I'm the only one who's not married to my family. And, you know, and it's one of those things.
So Abigail Kubeka was here, and she said the same thing. She was like, you know, it's just not something I was blessed with, but you know, I was never lacking in love, because the way I've been loved by my fans and the way the love affair I've had with music has been so fulfilling that I don't feel like I was lacking. Do you echo the same sentiment with your craft?
Yes, I think in many ways I feel the love all the time, and sometimes I get shocked, you know, whether am I deserving of this love. But I realize that I've got so much warmth, you know, it's like the universe, it's out there rooting for me all the time. So even growing up, it wasn't like something that you need to have in order to fulfill and complete you. You know, you just had to be enough just the way you are.
That's a very evolved way to think, because I mean, now in our generation and in the younger generation, we're being taught that. We're being taught, because, you know, you initially you taught you need a man, you must get married, you must be you may have a husband, you must have kids, and you must do that. And that's what's always sold to us as the norm. True. And now, you know, in 2017, we're being taught different. So for you to be 53 years old and you've always thought like that, did you realize that you were a forward thinker then?
In a way, yes. Simply because for the longest time, I could never have a boyfriend who was my age, because they just thought I knew too much. You know, people questioned my age. They just didn't believe. They just wondered as to how come you know things that are known by our parents. Yeah. You know, and my answer has always been, I'm an old spirit. I am just an old spirit. And
you know, like when you listen to older spirits speak, and they talk about marriage, they're like, yeah, just to be married, you must be an idiot as a woman. You must act like you don't see things that are happening.
Yeah, yeah. And when you know that, you know, I'm not going to be able to stand for this.
Yeah.
You know,
you just rather say, you know what, can I not be part of it?
Yeah, but you know, the other thing is that it's a generational thing.
Yeah.
In the olden days, they use marriage was always a definition of your success.
Success. Yeah.
You know, they said, no, the other one is a teacher. The other one, you know, is a social worker. The other one is married. Wendy.
Other one is a doctor. Other one is an architect. The other one is married.
Yeah, Wendy.
Listen, what a treat to be spending time with actress Keketso Semoko. More with her after the break. Welcome back to Real Talk. Throwback, right? In 1998, South Africans were introduced to Gray Hofmeyr's creation, depicting the lives of various characters that we quickly fell in love with, living in a small mining town called Horizon Deep. One of those characters lasted an incredible 16 years on the show. It was my Agness Matabane. This role earned her a SAFTA for Best Actress in 2007. She is here, and we are just unpacking it all. Don't you get goosebumps when you see that?
I do, especially when you hear that music.
Yeah, it was like the original. You know, the originals.
Yeah.
I was so obsessed with it. You auditioned for another role.
Yeah, I went in, and there was another smaller nyana role. So yeah, I went in. At the time, I was working as a radio drama producer. And so I decided, okay, my agent phones me and said, all right, fine, let's go and do it.
Let's try it out.
You know, so I ran there, and they say, no, we want you as a mama. I said, Mama. And those days I was a bit smaller. And
girl, I heard you were wearing jeans.
Yeah, I was. And I ran to my mom's car, and in the boot, I found some sarong, put it together, you know, through something. And I went in, and they say, yeah. I said, yeah, what? They said, yeah, you fit the role. And I said, no. Remember that I came for that one. So I was just doing a favor, reading with somebody. They say, no, actually, it's you that we've been looking for.
Give my Agness.
You know, and the next time it was a call back to see if, you know, the people that they'd cast as children were fitting and whatnot. They already had their zap. You know, so they needed a wife to match zap. And
Somebody on Twitter, at Momi Talis, he says, tell my Agness I saw Brazeb in Cape Town last week. I won't forget the day my Agness came out with Mvubu for Brazeb's side chicks. Does she still have that Mvubu, the Shambok?
You know, it's so strange because that Shambok, everybody remembers that Shambok. And I guess, you know, sometimes I wondered are we violent as South Africans that we don't forget the Shambok? Or is it because, you know, she was really putting things straight?
Yes,
with
I
the side
think
chick?
we have a problem, yes, side chicks.
Oh,
okay. So everyone was living vicariously through you, right? Because also as a black mother, looking at a black mother, we've all seen our mothers like act out of some way when they were sorting out some sort of situation like that. So it resonated. It resonated, and that's what happened. So there was this rumor that you and Leti were the same age in real life. Do you remember that?
Yeah, there was. And, you know, there were lots of rumors. And then the other rumor was that she was my daughter in real life. The other rumor was that I was married and I was abused and I had 2 children, and there were so many rumors. And then once I met somebody who asked if I was a pastor.
Okay.
And I thought, wow.
Okay.
Well, you know, but no.
But I mean, you're a household name, right? Yeah. And you lived in our living rooms for so long. But you've managed to not, how do I put this? Like celebrity. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, so you're a household name, you are celebrated, but you've played the fame game very well, where this has been you and then this has been the industry. How did you do that?
It was about planning longevity in a career. And I came into this as a storyteller, not just to be a celebrity. So my passion is about telling stories, and I hold on to that. And things that I realize that I actually cannot handle beyond my old age, I'm not interested in. And I used to have a good friend who said, will it matter when you're 80? If something's going to matter when you're 80, it's important. Deal with it, concentrate on that. But if it won't matter, forget it, you know. And most people are very, very feeble. And sometimes we go with the wind. We want to be the it girl of today, you know, and we end up doing the craziest things because a 12-year-old around the corner is demanding that of you. And then you go with it, you know. Yeah, and then you're going to be all over. Every time somebody demands this of you and that of you, you run with that instead of understanding the core you and understanding that this is who you are, this is how you want to be defined, this is how you want to look back and see your life and enjoy it and say that, yeah, okay, fine. I didn't brush shoulders with Anele, but, you know, it's okay.
It's okay.
Yeah, you know, Dalai Lama always says, do good things so that when you look back into your life, you live it the second time and enjoy it, you know, because then you are not going to regret, you're not going to be embarrassed. So that's what it's about. But there's nothing wrong in being a celebrity and being all over the place. It's all right for certain people. They can afford the tralalas, all the tralalas for the events.
Okay, and the tralalas, the dresses now, and the hair.
And the hair.
And the nails.
And the nails.
And
the, you know, and if you don't want to be going that route, then you go in a route that is satisfactory to you. Yeah, and that works for you, and you can account for it, you know.
We've got a WhatsApp from a young lady.
Hi, I'm Shakur van der Merwe and I live in Cape Town. Whoop whoop. And my question is, what inspired her to act and why acting? Yeah, and that is my question for the guest today. So, yeah, thank you.
Okay. I think she wants to be an actress.
Yeah, I think it's about once you love telling stories, and you know that your story it's building somebody out there, and it resonates well with people. You know, sometimes you find people who would act like gangsters. It's not that they want to be bad people, but they're telling a story of the society we live in. And it's how they tell a story that will convince you. So I really wanted to be in this field in order to tell stories. And in different forms of telling stories, whether it's behind the scenes, whether it's in writing, whether it's in, you know, voiceovers, but telling a story.
How do you keep acting fit? You know, because you always got better. So how did you do that?
You always have to concentrate and understand and be honest with what you want. You know, I always said to people that even when I was Ma Agness, I would go on other shows or do a movie and I would tell them that you can't tweeze me because I represent that woman, Ma Agness. So you always have to remember that. You know, I'll say, I can't dye my hair ginger, you know, because I am My Agness. So I always have to think of that. So because you want to be authentic, you know, in that way. So it's not that I once had dreadlocks and it was a matter of, okay, fine, this woman is like this. And so therefore you have to be like that. You know, you change yourself to be like that. In the many years that I was on Isidingo, all those years I stopped going to a hair salon, you know, because then my hair was always...
Yeah, I remember.
It belonged to Isidingo. You know, I had to protect that woman, you know, and make her feel good and not be embarrassed about her. I couldn't just go and come with
pierce your
oh
nose.
no, I couldn't, you know.
Tattoo.
No, you know, so it's about wanting to tell stories, you know, and doing it well.
I hope that answers your question. We will continue this discussion right after the break. And thanks for coming out to play. You are with Real Talk on SABC 3. The stage is yours. Keketso Semoko is our guest today, and she has expanded her talents in the performing arts, making an impact in acting, writing, and directing. Currently, and I didn't know this, it blew my mind, she is one of the producers of SABC 1's Skim Sam. That big show? Yeah, here's a little taste. That guy's got problems. So, you know, why that move? Look, Skim Sam, by the way, is a brilliant show. I absolutely love it. But why that move?
Well, you know what? This, it's a journey.
Yeah.
You know, and we all take a journey. And before joining Skim Sam, I did other things with another broadcaster as a producer.
Okay.
And it's a journey I've always wanted to, beyond wearing high heels and the knees, you know, in front of the camera. I thought, let's plan for the future, you know. So therefore, it's all about doing the next level. So this became the next level. Not that I'm cancelling the other level, but you know, it's still out there. But it was just a matter of growth.
So when you finally said, okay, write Agness Matabane out of the script, I think it's enough now. Were you not scared? You know what's next, because she's been you for so long. Like, now you have to go be someone else.
You know, it's so strange. The truth is that I knew that when I turned 50, I wanted to walk away from Agness. And they didn't believe me. When I was 49, I said the following year, it's the end. On my 50th birthday, I don't want to be here. And it's not because I didn't love that character and I didn't love Isidingo, but it's because it gets to a point where when you start to take it for granted. When, you know, there are no butterflies in your stomach in the morning before going to work, and then you realize that I'm too comfortable with this person. I have to walk away from her. I have to really think about her and be scared. And when that happened, I knew it was time to walk. Because also, you know, on Isidingo, we used to do what we call TX scenes, where things that happen on the day are TX'd on the day.
Yes.
And I was always, most of the time, I would be picked for that, simply because I was the plain Jacqueline, my Agness, you know, with
the
short
normal
hair.
South African.
Yes, and it was easy to place me, you know, in those scenes because there's no continuity problems. So, and you get used to picking up as you're changing, they're slipping a script under your door, and, you know, you're walking and you're reading, and you're walking and you're reading, you're paging, and you get there, give it to the floor manager and say, okay, let's do it. And one take is in the can. You know, and you realize that, wow. And then you get shocked after some time that, did I really do that? Wow. You know, and then you realize that you got too comfortable with that. And then you start to take it for granted. Yes.
There's the
then I started taking it for granted. I knew that, you know, I'll pick up a script and read it. I know how to tell the story. This woman doesn't scare me anymore. And I thought, time to walk. Time to walk and stand afar from her, you know. And they really didn't believe when I said, I really want to walk.
Leave it on a high.
Yeah.
Leave it on a high. Yeah. Someone wants to know about the challenges of being a producer. Let's get another voice note.
Hello, Keketso Semoko. It's lovely to see you on TV again. This is PSC speaking. I've got a question. What is the biggest challenge about being a black female producer when you started out as an actress, or when you've been known to be an actress?
That's a very good question.
Yeah. I think the biggest problem is that people always think that you were that, and they didn't know that you have other abilities. And I have to say that good work by the creator of Skim Sam, Winnie Serite. And, you know, and when she said, come, join me, you know, in doing this, people didn't know that I could do it. You know, and people always think of you as just being that female actor and nothing else, and you can't rise above that. And then they have problems, and, you know, you always have these buffers, you know. People think of you, they think you can't tell them this because you are that and not this. And which is very, very sad, because everybody has got immense talents in them, and it's about which one do you pick. But I think the joys of being a producer and working within that field, it's understanding the array of complexity of running being in the business like that. And especially like a daily drama, it's like a sausage factory. You know, you can't afford to
get out,
and you can't afford to drop. Once you drop somewhere, you know, the chain gets disturbed, and then you always have to think on your feet and how do you recover? How do you recover? You know, it's a challenge, but it's something that makes you to grow stronger, and you just have to move on. And things have happened, you know, and people always say that, how did you actually be able to walk and come back after that? And you say, it is yesterday's story. Today, it's another story. Tomorrow, definitely, there has to be a better story.
Do the actors on Skim Sam trust you more because you were an actor? Do you find that it's easier for you to manage them because you've been in their shoes?
It's not about managing them, but it's about people take advice very well, and because they have that respect that you've been there, and you're able to give them advice that nobody else can give them. you know, and even with the director, sometimes you say to a director, you know, this person, I think this is where the problem is because of this, and because you give the insight of knowing the other side.
Yeah.
And then people trust you with that, you know. And then you say, but, you know, this person is not telling the story very well. How about this and that and that? Because right now, they're just telling you what's written on paper, but not telling the story. So there's a difference in that. And when you produce, then you look after the content and you make sure that story is told, not just read from the
dignity
paper.
of the story has
and
to
of
be-
different characters as well. So it has been difficult in trying to make people understand, particularly people who don't have a background in the industry.
Yeah.
So, you know, you always, I mean, on Skim Sam, what's good is that we always get fresh faces.
Actors, yeah.
People sometimes that have never ever been in front of the camera, but the executive producer Winnie will always say we'll give them training.
I like that.
You know,
I like that. They'll learn on the job. Listen, we've only got a few minutes more. I'm so sad, but stay right where you are. It's going to be fun. And welcome back to your Friday edition of Real Talk. Keketso Semoko has had an illustrious career, starting out behind the camera as a director, as a camera woman. It wasn't long before she was tempted to do work in front of the camera. She's been in plays such as George Wolfe's The Colored Museum. She's enthralled in drama series such as Home Affairs, and was also part of the ensemble cast of HBO's 7-part series, The #1 Ladies Detective Agency, alongside R&B star Jill Scott. This is a career here. This is a career here. So, I mean, Isidingo itself, like, there were some dark times in real life now that we could only think of what you guys are going through. When we lost Ashley Kelly, you know, when we lost the lady who played Lady, Lisego, you know, and you guys had to just go through it. How did you do that as a cast? What was the mood like? Was it somber? Was it celebratory of their lives?
It started off as somber because you have lost somebody. I mean, when Kelly passed on, the next day it was the most difficult thing. I mean, you know, it was take after take, because in the middle of the take, you're doing another scene that has nothing to do with that character, but you'll suddenly cry, you know, and we were given that time, you know, just to allow it to settle. And then after that, it was a matter of now we need to celebrate who she was, you know, and I'd worked with her, even we went to the same varsity, same drama school, so I had been in theater plays with her, you know, so it was a very, very difficult time indeed, you know, very, very difficult time. And then much later, it happened with Lesego. And, you know, the irony was that when we filmed the death of Bakahens's daughter, Lesego did a very beautiful song. You know, she actually wrote the song for that. And suddenly she dies as well in real life. You know, so it was like, what's going on here? But you always say that the universe knows best. You know, yes, those times are difficult, but often they bring you together and you become even closer and you hold on to each other and you then relearn to celebrate each other more and more. It's like when the studios bent down.
Yeah, I was going to go there as well.
Unbelievable. And at night you receive a call and you're thinking, who's phoning me at 11 p.m. because I'm waking up at 5. I have to be in, you know, in studio. And the call says, don't bother coming to work.
There is no studio.
The studios are burning. You think it's a joke and you think, and then a second call comes in. No, this is real. Don't bother coming. The studios have burned down. And Agness, the Matabane house, burned down to ashes, you know, and you just couldn't believe it. And the whole day you didn't go anywhere the next day because you're waiting for this phone call that will tell you what's next, you know. And it became a very difficult time. We worked long hours, you know, and your resilience was tested. And we worked very far places, like out in Kyalami. You'd get home at 3 in the morning, but you knew that at 10 a.m. again, you had to be up.
We have to pull together.
Exactly. And nobody complained, got the script there, and then, you know, we just had to do what we needed to do because we knew people at home are waiting for the show.
6:30, guys.
Exactly.
That's 7, well now.
Yes, and it was ultimate dedication by the cast of Isidingo. It was the producers. It was just amazing how people can just pull together. I mean, it's like when we have funerals.
Yes.
Everybody comes together, you know. Yeah.
So in all the years that you've been acting, who do you know for a fact that when you get into a scene with them, they are going to make you do the best acting? Like they take out the best side of Keketso?
Of course, the obvious is Zebedee.
He's good, eh? Yo.
And also because before Isidingo, I used to work with him on radio, doing radio dramas and all of that. So, you know, we've always had that synergy. But a lot of people, like Vusikunene as well, I've worked with him, and you know, and we went to the same varsity. He was my mentor at varsity as well. And you know, every time he gets into a scene, you know that it has to be fireworks.
Yeah.
And you're scared not to disappoint him, and he's also scared not to disappoint you. So it's a beautiful tango, very delicate, but just wonderful.
All right.
Yeah.
So before we go, you said something earlier. You said, will it matter when you're 80? What will matter to you when you're 80?
What will matter to me when I'm 80 would be the fact that I've been kind to people, that I've given people the love back that they've given me. And people will always tell you, even journalists will always tell you she never does interviews. But when I said yes to an interview, it's not that, it's because I know that Anele thinks of me in a different way, and there are a lot of people out there that follow Anele who'd want to give me the love, and I want to give them the love. What will matter is the fact that had I given enough love? Have I forgiven people that I needed to forgive? Have I forgiven myself? Have I really, really lived my life to the fullest and to the right purpose?
Have I forgiven myself? I think it's such an important thing because, you know, people go through life giving everyone else the love that they should be giving themselves.
And also we make mistakes in life. You know, we always make mistakes, we hurt people, we do all sorts of things, and it matters. You know, just yesterday quickly, I was on Gautrain, and there was this wonderful gentleman sitting next to me, blonde gentleman, and he had a terrible flu, worse than you. And he was snorting all the time, and I felt for him. And guess what? As I was leaving, I thought, I have a pack of tissues. Let me offer him. He was so grateful. That to me will matter.
I feel like I'm a better person. Don't you just feel like you've just grown in this past hour? And I know that you have been entering the competition all week. I didn't forget about you, okay? The 5,000 Rand e-gift card is going to Rochelle Moller. Congratulations, Rochelle. Your 5,000 Rand shopping spree is about to begin. Thank you so much for joining me for this wonderful episode with Keketso. You have yourselves a great weekend, and we'll see you'll see me on Monday. I'll be talking to you. You know, Mos.
That's cheeky.